R&B, hip hop, pop,
I still get you.
reggae, EDM, indie, old school,
Side. Check it.
and sports talk.
Right here.
WorldStarHitRadio.com.
Welcome to Connecting Atlanta Radio, hosted on the #1 and the fastest growing internet radio station, WorldStarHitRadio.com. And this evening we have the one and only Randy Garrett, world traveler, entrepreneur, business owner, who has made it through the ups and downs as a business owner through all of the economies. So if you'd like to really know what it takes to become a successful business owner, then I suggest you continue to listen in on the show. So welcome to the radio show, Randy. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. I'm very, very excited about being here. First show with you. Looking forward to many, many more.
We'll see about that. Let's see what kind of ratings we get today. So, now with business ownership, you've been an entrepreneur pretty much your whole life, right?
20 plus, 23, 24 years.
24
yes.
years? Okay.
Yes.
So I'd say you probably have some experience.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit?
A little bit, yes.
So
I think I've seen a thing or two.
You've seen a thing or two?
I've seen a thing or two, yes.
Okay. And then so what do people find most difficult about being like self-employed?
Well, I think the first thing that people have a huge issue with is getting away from the monthly finance that they're used to getting.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid every week or every 2 weeks, and it's a comfortable situation.
Yeah.
They're used to just getting that check go into the direct deposit or going into their hand, and it's easy. When you become an entrepreneur, now you have to learn how to survive on what comes in.
Right.
Some months are going to be better than others. You
Right.
have to learn how to budget and understand finance, and that's kind of the first hurdle and the first growing pains that people experience.
Right.
Normally in the first 6 months, people know whether they're going to do this or not because they can't survive. If they get, say, a $10,000 payment and they're used to making, $1,500 every 2 weeks, it's party time.
Yeah.
And they realize, wow, I got this money, I'm going to have a great time, and
Right.
then they don't get paid for another 2 weeks or 3 weeks
Right.
or maybe a month.
Right.
And they're in a situation now where they don't have that check coming in or direct deposit going in. So
Right.
they overextend themselves because they're not used to having larger sums of money.
Right.
Now apply that to a medium company where you're getting 50, 100, 200,000 coming in at once
Mm-hmm.
from a person who's only ever had 100, maybe 100 in a year or 50 in a year. Now you have 200,000. So now you want to buy your first Mercedes.
Right.
Now you want to go out and really splurge. Or
Right.
going to Miami this weekend. And at the end of the day, you realize it's a struggle.
Right.
So those are kind of the first growing pains that I think people really have to get past. And second off, starting to understand why you're in business and developing a business plan.
Okay.
So, that's to me the essential parts of starting a business is forecasting what you're going to do.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit about your experience, like companies that you're a part of and what you have going on.
Well, right now, what's interesting is business is good. And some years business is pretty good, and some years business is great. But right now, I think business is growing at a pace that is exciting for me, and it's very hard to excite me because I've been through up and down economies and
You're right.
different sections of the world where it's just difficult to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to find ways to make your niche. And right now, Atlanta is booming. Being in the right place at the right time is 50% of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing here in Atlanta, I'm a part of DNS Consulting. I'm a part of TCS Group. We're a part of Connecting Atlanta now, a new partner. Also, we have businesses still in Washington, D.C. as well, where we do DoD and government contracting. We do end-to-end solution-based software, hardware licensing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of in a lot of spaces, but I'll explain why that's important as we move through it.
Right.
But having the multiple streams for me, it's always been a place to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So as one thing kind of fades out, you're moving into something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than Ford, GM or Chrysler, Porsche, whoever. They build concept cars.
Mm.
Those concept cars won't be built for 5-10 years,
Right.
but they're projecting where the market is going. So as an entrepreneur, we have to project. So right now, I see Atlanta going into a place where there's billions of dollars out here for entrepreneurs to tap into.
Yeah,
And
it's one of
now
the largest networks for entrepreneurs.
It's 45% of the market.
Right.
Actually, right now, it's entrepreneurs, And in a fertile market, that's an explosion waiting to happen.
Right.
People really have to get connected. People really have to start depending on each other and understanding what connecting is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And at that level, you can take a whole wave and ride it forward. You know, with a group of people or a network of people versus just you out there alone riding the wave.
Right.
That's what's so awesome here. I mean, there's projects running about $6 billion a year on infrastructure here in just the state of Georgia. And then when you start breaking them out, some of them run to 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting a part of projects that has longevity in it is an amazing thought for an entrepreneur. A lot of things as an entrepreneur, you get into small sections of work. You know, you get 3 months here or 8 months there, or you contract for a year. But imagine being a part of a 15-year project that you could retire from as an entrepreneur. So it's a pretty amazing time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I told you you're going to invite me back. I'm pretty good at this.
Really? Are you? So when you talk about, one of the things that you mentioned was having multiple streams of income.
Correct.
So one of the things is, I want to clarify this because a lot of startup business owners will get into like several different businesses at one time, spread themselves too thin, and not be successful at anything.
Correct.
So can you define the difference between what you're saying and what that, you know what I'm saying, what that really means?
Comes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting part about that is, one, you're absolutely right. You can't spread yourself too thin.
Right.
But the important side to looking at and examining what you need to be doing. So if you start a company, I would say 80% of the companies that you start has a service component. Most people don't experience that service component. They don't push it out into the marketplace. And in that process, you lose something because most service-based entrepreneurships survive because it's filling a void, it's filling something that's a necessity in society. You have to have it. So they're going to make it. But the ones that say, oh, I'm just a marketing company. Okay, really good. So it's a downtime in the economy. We're not marketing this year. Call me next year.
Right.
I'm going to use the same marketing, the same banners, the same things that I had. But if you're a business strategist in marketing and you're telling them how to make money off of their marketing, now you're a consultant.
Different. Yes,
exactly.
So
that's what I mean by multiple streams of revenue.
Okay.
So not necessarily multiple companies, so to speak, but making sure that you're connecting yourself with multiple layers and tiers within your company.
Right.
So that you're reaching out in different areas.
Okay.
So you're getting multiple in.
Okay.
And if you have the bandwidth to actually go out into the workforce and say, I want to pull this group in, I want to pull that group in and create more, that's always awesome too. But you have to make sure that you have the bandwidth to do that. Or as you said, you could stretch too thin and fail. And that's a huge responsibility as a business owner in a place like Atlanta now. I'm in a position now where we're literally telling people no. And that's very difficult to do. But you have to say, hey, no, not right now.
Right.
I have enough on my plate. I can do this very, very well right now.
Yeah.
But if we expand much further, I have to
too
really
much.
examine what's the risk. So
Right.
when you're an entrepreneur, this is about mitigating risk.
Right.
Because there's no backup. There's nobody back there waiting to catch you. There's no net. There's no severance plan. There's no
Right.
package. So when you can't pay your insurance, you have no insurance. It's
Right.
just gone. Or you can't pay the bills that's associated with your life and livelihood. You know, it's people in corporate America that can literally take 6-8 months off, you know, and get 80% of their pay. And just say, hey, I need some downtime.
Right.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, there's never any
downtime. Yeah.
Your downtime is when you close your eyes and get up in the morning and figure out how to make it another day.
Right.
But the great part about it is you earn predicated on your input. Your output is pushed by that. So if you put in enough work, you're going to get enough out.
An entrepreneur is a true entrepreneur, one that's been successful, that drives them.
Correct.
Right. So instead of pushes them back
It's
into the workforce.
it's normally being exposed to it. What pushes people to entrepreneurship is realizing working for companies, being out there. You reach a certain level and you realize I'm making this company millions of dollars, and I'm only making X, and there's no way forward for me.
Right.
So now it's time for me to try to do it because even if I can't make millions of dollars, I know I can triple, quadruple my salary and my standings in life. So I think that's the main driver, is being exposed to management levels and looking at what you potentially earn other companies.
Right.
It creates the bug.
And expanding and not only that, but it helps to enhance your own lifestyle. You know, it changes your lifestyle.
Correct. Being
surrounded by that, because it's not just money, but what can money do for me that's going to change my life or change the people that I care about, their lives, you know, and impact
and that's where the networking comes in and is so important for individuals and for companies.
Right.
Okay. What's super exciting for me is I'm a voracious reader, and I read. Most people will read a great novel. I read the Harvard Review. I read The Economist.
Right.
I read and one article that I read from the Harvard Review probably a month ago that was interesting was called Positive Peer Pressure. And peer pressure has always been this negative thing for us. You know, you say, well, you know, as a teenager growing
Right.
up, it's the peer pressure that gets you in trouble. Well, corporations now are using positive peer pressure. And what they're doing is putting people in groups and letting them influence each other positively to improve their outcome. And I thought to myself, wow, we need to be doing that in networks so that we can create accountability force within our groups and our networks so that people can actually learn from each other and feed off of them.
Right.
I mean, we have 5.7 million people in Atlanta. So it's
Is
not
that
like
many people?
Oh God, they're not just in the city; it's in the suburbs too. But yes,
that's a lot of people.
Well, and what's amazing about it is when we sit down now and think, well, I'm an accountant or I'm a lawyer, I'm this. You can be in a pool of 10 lawyers or 20 lawyers and still feed off of each other, get good positive
Learn
peer
stuff.
pressure, and push that out into the market because there's so many people. There's not enough competition out there, you know, for you to be stressed out about.
Right.
So learning how to create those networks like we're doing now with Connecting Atlanta is super important for where we're going as a business.
Right.
Because I think that's the missing link with people. They're trying to do it on their own.
Right.
And
no,
out here
they
solo,
don't have access to mentorship or
out here
anything
solo,
like that.
they struggle pretty much and at their own peril.
Right.
Because you don't have to. That like some of our other partners, like SCORE, like people that are out there that have mentors for your business and your person at no cost.
Right.
Or SBA, somebody that can help you with contracts. So it's just looking at how to maneuver these waters so that they're not so treacherous.
Right.
You know, that's the thought. It's sharks in the water. But we all aren't sharks.
Right.
You know,
not all of us.
What we're
Sometimes we can be.
what we're doing here is trying to evolve and carry a group with us. Because the next generation, what we've learned in this last 8 years, 7, 8 years, is that we can't depend on government.
Right.
So if you look at almost 35 to 55% of the new jobs created in the last 8 years was created by entrepreneurs.
Right.
So one is giving us a new respect out in the marketplace. People say, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Now it's not funny like it was 30 years ago. But now it's like, oh wow, how many jobs are you creating? What are you doing now? So people are interested. But what it taught us was we have to pick ourselves up now and move our country forward. It's not just about us. Because manufacturing isn't here. It's these things that they're promising going to come back. I doubt it.
Right.
But we're here to service
But they've
each other,
created
take
new,
care
but
of
there's
each
new
other.
industries and stuff that are being created.
Correct.
So you have to be willing to be able to adapt and learn.
Yes.
So and if you can't, you're going to be left behind. But that's been with anything throughout all generations, like throughout the time of history of when our country first started becoming successful as a country.
Well, and when you look at where we are now, it's setting forth a precedent of what can be attained. Because it took a Great Depression for us to build a Hoover Dam, for us to build a highway system.
Right.
We came out of that stronger.
Right.
So what we had in a financial collapse was something that made us aware that our houses is not really worth what they told us it was.
Right.
You know, and that wasn't the biggest investment in your life.
Right.
Because now it's just somewhere for you to live. So it's like it's a
not the
different
American
story.
dream.
Correct. So now we get to redefine an American dream.
Right.
For ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we can look at it from that perspective, as entrepreneurs, we can rule the world. I mean, it's a scary thought, but we can rule the world because if we
not
join,
like Pinky or anything like that.
and the money. If we pull our resources together, we can put officials in place to set laws that will benefit us.
Well, that's what they've been doing since the beginning of time. Have you ever seen that movie called The Great How America Got Started or something like that? It was this documentary I read, and that's exactly what they did. But people are doing that now with lobbyists and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, but now if you want to be able to bring more honest stuff where it's not just straight greedy and everything like that,
Well, it's grassroots. So it's starting from it's starting from a genuine place.
Right.
Most
Hopefully
people,
it'll stay there.
That's the difficult side. When you start creating the revenue, it's understanding that you have a responsibility, not only to yourself but to your family and to your community.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important side to understanding foundation work, understanding corporate work, understanding entrepreneurship. If we can work all together, we can create a better society. We don't have to depend on anyone to step in for us. We can take care of those things ourselves.
That would be nice.
Awesome thought. So that's the goal. Awesome thought.
So, why do you think most new businesses, so talking about entrepreneurship and business getting started, so why do you think some of them fail within the first 2 years?
Well, I can tell you the first year is a developmental stage.
Right.
And a lot of people think they're going to make money up front. They're going to normally struggle.
Right.
But outside of that, I would say 85% of them fail because they don't plan. So if you don't have a business plan, you don't have a structure in place for you to follow and hold accountable for yourself, you're going to struggle.
Right.
So what I would advise anybody that's considering going into business is putting it on paper first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting a peer group and saying, hey, what do you think about this? Now, I can tell you 90% of them are going to say you're crazy.
Right.
But that one that say, hey, it's a good idea, that's probably your real friend, so go with that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, looking at that business plan that you put together, that model, you can start developing from there. Because it's at its clearest form.
And testing the market space and stuff like
Well,
that. Right?
that's what is next.
Right.
Next is looking at doing a strength and weakness, doing a SWOT analysis.
Okay.
Examining the strengths of your company that you're putting forth, looking at the weaknesses, and also looking at the demographics.
Okay.
Who's your competition? Who's in the marketplace?
Right.
How are you going to market to them? Your strengths, play to those because you've identified them. Your weaknesses, push them to the side and try to build them so they can become parts of the strength. But if you don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are, you're doomed to fail.
Right.
If you don't know your demographic, who you're selling to, or your competition, you're doomed to fail.
Right.
In any business. I mean, this is rudimentary business. This is business 101. And when people sit down and examine where they are 6 months, 8 months in, and start writing down what's going on wrong, they're already failing. At that point, it's just trying to dig and claw your way back to try to be successful.
Right.
So if you just take that first month before you ever say, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to get into this entrepreneurship and just start analyzing what you want to do. Is it something marketable? Is it something that people want and need? Or is it just something that I would like to do? Because if it only impacts or affects you, it's probably not going to work.
Right.
You got to have an audience. You got to have people that you're playing to. You got to have people that need what you have.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a luxury.
Right.
And luxuries are what goes in hard times. And that's the false sense that you can get. You can do this off the cuff. Oh, I made it this year. It was great. Or 2 years. And you plateau. And when companies plateau, that just means from this year until year 10, you're not making any more money, any less. So you might as well be at the office. Because now you assume all this responsibility, you've taken on all this risk, and you're not making the money you wanted to. It's because you didn't plan. You didn't forecast for year 1, year 2, year 5 to make sure that people understand where you're going. Because it takes investors sometimes, it takes growth through other entrepreneurships and partnerships. And if you don't have that base plan, you can't get venture capital. You can't get someone to invest in your company.
Right.
Because you haven't did your books.
Right.
You haven't put a plan together so they can see what you're forecasting out there. So I think in the first steps of this, I would say 50 to 80% of people fail because they don't plan properly and they don't look at risk management. That's what I would say.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And what do you think are the 3 most important things to know about your company? I know you just mentioned a bunch of stuff, but what do you think are the top 3?
The top 3 is necessarily, to me, I think the top 3 would be your brand, your solution base, and comprehension of the market.
Brand, solution base, and comprehension of the market.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And your brand is important because that's how people see you. And people think because they watch Vistaprint on a commercial, that's your brand. I bought some business cards.
Right.
No, your brand is you.
Right.
Okay. It's how you present yourself to your clients. It's how your employees present themselves to your clients. And at that point, you have to examine that brand as it grows. And you have to make sure that you have a process going where you're building your brand in a positive way versus negative. Because as the media age has taken over now, word of mouth became a tweet. And it's a scary thought.
It's true. Like people get their news on Twitter, Facebook, and
exactly. So now, 30 years ago, if you screwed up something, you know what I mean, it didn't work out. Oh my God, I can just don't even tell anyone. It's okay.
Right.
Now
the world knows. Yeah.
You're one tweet away from everybody knowing you're not the person.
With the right hashtag.
Right. And at the end of the day, that's so super important is how you brand yourself on social media, how you brand yourself through conventional forms.
Right.
You know, through marketing, through media, all of that. It's interesting how people look at like I said, just a Vistaprint commercial, and that's my brand. Have my card, feel it. It's good paper.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about you delivering a service
Right.
where people can give testimony on your website and say how awesome you are. They can tweet about it. They can post about it. And in those worlds, your brand is growing. Second, being solution based. Being a solution based company is so important because now you're solving problems. That goes into the service industry of anything that you're doing. Every market that you're going into has a solution basis. There's a problem in every market.
Right.
You want to be known as the company that's solving the problems.
Right.
So if you can add in consulting for what you do as well as delivering a product, you can always be successful. But not only will you be helping other companies when you do that, you're also building your brand and you're helping yourself be more successful.
Right.
Because through solution based, you find trial and error. And you also create a separate stream of revenue. So that's important. Comprehension of business, I think that goes back to understanding what business is about. And I think that's a gap for us. When I tell you I read a lot, and you know, the things, it's keeping you current with business law, it's keeping you current with business strategy, it's keeping you current with the way things are moving. So understanding and comprehending your business is super important because if you don't know where business is going, you don't know what the new laws are coming out, you don't know what the new restrictions are for whatever you're doing,
Right.
you're losing.
Right.
So those three things right there, I think, are really, really important to start gauging as you start growing.
That's awesome. And so one of our last questions is, now we've learned how to like build your company and talked about like your brand and all that stuff, but like how do you get, so now it's all baby steps where you're taking care of your company, you're massaging it, you're getting it to grow, and
Now we gotta talk about.
let me, I'm the host here, okay? I'm gonna lead this conversation. All right, it's my radio show. All right, so and now you want to, now once your baby gets bigger, now you want to figure out how do you get that, your company, to be able to take care of you. So how do you do that, and why would you want that?
Well, first off, you want it out of necessity.
Right.
So you don't just want that, you actually need that. Because unfortunately, the one thing that we can't control by massage our way out of is time.
Right.
We're all getting older every day.
Right.
And every day is a day closer to some sort of retirement.
Right.
Whether we want to admit that or not.
Right. Right.
In my 30s, I thought one way. In my 20s, I thought one way. I'm 46 now. I think totally different because I have a 20-year plan that we put in place just last year.
Okay.
To say, okay, how do I want to retire? What do I want my business to do for me? And if you start structuring that thought process and finding the right partnerships, and then whether that is your new financial advisor, that's your insurance broker, whoever it is that you put around you, research them, make sure that they're taking care of the other people, and start looking at how to plan for your company exit.
Right.
So this is legacy building. You want to have a great company, you want to either be able to sell it one day or pass it on. But in that process, you also want to be able to live the type of life that you have now or exceed that process, you know, going into your later years. A lot of people feel like traveling and doing these things later is going to be great. But what they're not budgeting into that process is inflation.
Right.
So I was going to travel the world. And
which is another form of taxation that a lot of people don't realize.
Correct. I was going to travel the world. I saved for 20 years. And in 20 years, you can go to Boca Raton. Right. Because that's all you can afford.
Like I go there every year now anyways.
Exactly. But for me, I think that process is definitely looking at financial tools that's out there, like annuities, looking at 401ks, SEP 401ks that you can set up for yourself as annuities for people 55.
Right.
Because it's a 20-year process.
Right.
But you can put up from 10,000 to 10 million in 1 year untaxed. And then do them as an income annuity, some of the things that we're playing with now, so that they actually stay on the trust. The annuity, I never take the actual principal out. They actually pay me a retirement from my money that I can pass on to my children.
Right.
That's not my background, but I can speak to it now because as a business owner, I had to make sure that these things were in place for me. Right. Because there was not that safety net as an entrepreneur for 20 plus years where I can go and punch a card and say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
Give me my
You have to create that for yourself.
Let me get my payments every month and no. So if you don't take time for this and understand that the long game is the most important, you lose.
Right.
So the short game is very important, but you can fail in a business and start another one. you can go back to work for someone.
Right.
But you can't get a retirement at 65 when you haven't planned well.
Right.
So that's what I would
And
definitely
then
say to that.
live on just off Social Security, and that's it.
Oh well, in 20 years that won't be there anyway, so we can cancel that. I wouldn't wait on that.
Oh no, never! Like, please.
Wait on that.
All that money that they're taking from me now is feeding the people that are in the system now.
Correct.
So that's it. Well, do you have any last thoughts for our audience today? This 30 minutes went pretty fast.
Well, last thoughts would be understanding who you are, understanding that this is going to take due diligence, understanding how everyone involved around you have to support you. So I would say anything that's negative, anything that is deterrent for you, move it out of your space. Because positive energy is so super important for entrepreneurship, because at the end of the day, it's the people that will support you and make sure that you're successful that will carry you through those tough months when there is no money. You don't need to borrow anything from anybody, but you're struggling through and you just need a pat on the back and tell you how great your company is doing. So when you have the naysayers pulling away at the fiber and fabric of what you're trying to do, you got to get those people away. So surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with forward-looking people. The past was 5 minutes ago before I started this show. It wasn't yesterday. It wasn't last month. It was 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I think that's the main thing I would take away from where I am now at 46. A lot of the things and people that throughout the years that had the negative, I think my life is so much more interesting and fun now that I don't have those people involved.
Right.
And I'm only surrounding myself with people that are like-minded. Okay?
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
Well, everyone, I just want to thank you all for coming on to the show today and Connecting Atlanta Radio, hosted on the #1 fastest growing internet radio station, worldstarhitradio.com. And stay tuned for our next show next week, and also our seminar that we're going to have on September 9th on how to turn contacts into contracts. You can go to connectingatlanta.net to get more information on that. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic evening.
The hottest music, R&B, hip hop, pop,
I still get
reggae, EDM, indie, old school,
side. Check it.
and sports talk.
Right here.
WorldStarHitRadio.com.